Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, this reading is going to be on news that Jack Smith has made an appeal to the Supreme Court to fast-track a hearing on whether or not Donald Trump can claim presidential immunity against the January 6th trial. Apparently, that is what his defense is trying to do, to delay the January 6th insurrection trial indefinitely in the courts. And Jack Smith is taking a case precedent set during Richard Nixon's time to take a question straight to the Supreme Court because of the nature of the question and who it involves, which in this case is the former president of the United States. In the Nixon case, as I just read, it took him about 2 months, I think, to get the case on the docket and heard. I believe that's what it was. So in order trying to stay on his March 4th timeline, he's asking the Supreme Court to hear this case. The Supreme Court responded quickly and notified Donald Trump and his lawyers they have until December 20th to respond to this. But it looks like the Supreme Court will hear this early next year and make a decision on it. So we'll see how that goes. He's also making an expedited appeal towards the Washington District Appellate Court to speed up their response. I imagine in case the Supreme Court either decides not to hear it or wants to go through the appellate court first. He's already working on that as well. So he's doing what he can to speed up the court process. Obviously, Donald Trump wants this case to go past the elections so he can win the election, be the president, and then quash these election investigations. Okay. So I'm going to read on that. I saw in the news that the Kate Cox in Texas, that the Texas Supreme Court upheld the stay on the district court's ruling, saying she could have an abortion. And I finally saw what it was. It was trisomy 18. Now, somebody who's had human genetics like me, anytime you have a chromosomal, a triplet of chromosomes, it's not a good deal. Down syndrome, I believe, is triple 21, and that's about the most benign. And obviously, you can see that there's a whole spectrum of Down's babies. And typically, if you have trisomies of other chromosomes, they tend to be lethal. So now I understand what's going on with her baby, or with the fetus, I should say, is that it's a trisomy 18, and that would be typically lethal. The news is that she's going out of state to have her abortion performed, because basically her lawyers and her do not believe that that justice delayed is going to be justice served. So I think in my last reading, I realized it's funny, I just did it yesterday, and it went up this morning. I said that the courts would rule in her favor. So when I saw that they stayed it, I was upset that I was wrong on that one, but they haven't ruled on it yet. They're just staying it. We'll see how this plays out, but she will get her abortion. All right, so let's look at the energy now of Jack Smith and his lawsuit, his appeal to the Supreme Court. What's the energy? What are things looking like at that? Okay, deck is upside down. Got the Knight of Wands. It's that looking around at the delays, waiting for the next thing to happen. So he's been ready for stuff like this, and he's been prepared for this. And now this is the calm before the storm. He knows he has to go through this battle in the Supreme Court before he can do his final battle in the courtroom against Donald Trump. So the Knight of Wands is about penultimate battles, not the final battle, but the one just prior to it. So this is the last big battle he needs to do before he gets Trump in court for the January 6th trial. Crossing that with the Ace of Cups, the strong emotions. Emotions are going to run high with this, as you might imagine. Donald Trump is already out there saying there's no reason to race this court case. Yeah, because we all know Trump delays. But this is asking the Supreme Court to rule on the ex-president of the United States for crimes that he did. This is a huge passion play here. And And again, I think he's really passionate about this case. He's not, it's not like a ho-hum, I'll just sit on my hands. No, he's passionate about this case. Underneath it all, you got the 9 of coins here. I think this is going to be the 9 justices. This is going to represent the Supreme Court in this case. Bringing this case, the 9 of wands and the 9 of pentacles, bringing it to the Supreme Court for their consideration. I would imagine the Supreme Court's going to have some opinions too. In the past, we got the Page of Pentacles, my card for election interference and the grifting that goes along with it. This is evolving that case with Donald Trump, and also that there's not a lot that Trump is offering as a defense in this one, and it's always the prosecution that has to bring out the things of value in this case. So Trump's team's trying to delay, and he's trying to do whatever he can to keep things going forward, keep bringing new bits of information, new ploys. Okay. The current situation is the Hierophant. So this is the government. This is the judicial system, Department of Justice. This is big government in this big court case. So now we're going to the top court in the land and having them rule on this. Now, fortunately for Jack Smith's corner, what's helping him is that they've ruled on this in the past for Nixon. And you could go straight to the Supreme Court with something like this. Overarching energies, the celebration, the 3 of Cups. I do believe that he will get what he wants simply because there's precedent that's been done before, and the Supreme Court will hear this case because honestly, if the Supreme Court doesn't hear this case, what cases would they possibly listen to? They've got to listen to this case. They have to. It's involving the ex-president of the United States and an insurrection in this country. This is, this is what the Supreme Court's all about. You could also say this 3 of Cups is the 3 liberal justices that are left on the Supreme Court celebrating this case. Lesson to be learned is the Death card. Interesting. Now, you could... one could look at this and say that the Supreme Court's going to kill it and send it to the appellate court, or the Supreme Court's going to say, yes, Donald Trump is, he's a king and you can't prosecute kings. But that's the thing here. Here's the king. He's dead. The crown is off of the king. Death has come for the king. Tanya Chutkin has commented that presidents are not kings. You're not above the law. Presidents are not kings. I do think that the Supreme Court will listen to this argument, and I can't see an avenue where they say Donald Trump has presidential immunity against all criminal things. I can't see it because the Constitution spells out that, when you're impeached, you can still be prosecuted for crimes. So even the Constitution is on Jack Smith's side here. This is not going to end well for Donald Trump. Donald Trump will be trampled here. The outcome is the Knight of Cups. I do believe the Supreme Court is going to come back and say, yes, they want to hear this case. A little concerned about the Knight of Cups because we know that when we do our tarot readings that the Knight of Cups can be the false friend. I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping that they're not delaying this this ruling, but that could be what this is. On the positive note, they're going to listen to the case. They're going to hear the case. You're going to take this Ace of Cups and turn it into a Knight of Cups. Take this passion and advance it forward. I'm just hoping that they don't sit on that case for too long. That it's resolved with, here's one of those nickel college words, alacrity. Or is that an old Pontiac brand? The Pontiac Alacrity? No, it's Okay, so Supreme Court. It looks like that Knight of Cups. Looks like they're going to listen to this case. Will their ruling force a delay of the January 6th trial on March 4th? And if it does, when might we see it? Sterling, the psychic medium, keeps seeing, I think it was Sterling, says he sees something big happening in like the June timeframe. So it's possible this thing gets delayed a couple of months. But let's see what happens here. I believe it's Sterling anyways. I watch too many people. I can't keep track anymore. Supreme Court, will this delay the trial? It's going to be a burden. Probably. My guess is it will delay it because there's a lot of things to weigh on it. Now, to me, this should be an easy case. Are presidents kings? Yes or no? But they have to deliberate things because you are talking about Trump here. It's a burden. We have an agreement, and it involves the devil. I'm going to say that it does delay the case. But it's going to be a mutually agreeable date. I'm wondering if it's 10 is 10 weeks. But it involves Trump, and it's just one of those necessary evils that has to happen. It's too bad because this trial was set right around the time that the caucuses were starting. So there's Jack Smith in the past bringing this case forward, forcing things through. There's disappointment. Yeah, this is going to delay it. He doesn't get everything that he wants out of this, which would be to have the case go forward. But it's not all lost. The case is still on. It's just going to be delayed longer. And again, that 10 could be 10 weeks. These 3 cups down could be 3 months. You got the 5 of coins. People being left out in the cold. I think that it's delayed to the point that a lot of the Republican primary has been decided. Because to me, this is the Republican voters being left out in the cold. The Republican voters had a right to know if Donald Trump was going to be held criminally liable for the events on January 6th to help them guide their vote. And they're not going to get that chance now. They're going to have to make their vote not knowing the outcome of the case. Now, if they were to call me and ask me, I'll tell them what the outcome of the case is, and probably all my viewers here could come up with the same answer of this man's guilt or not. But for those folks who can't figure it out, well, you're going to have to make your decision out in the cold. The lesson to be learned is it's just the mystery, the secrets. The secrets are not yet revealed. This is like say May. The secrets are not revealed in the May timeframe. So again, I think people are voting in primaries and they don't have the full story. What's the outcome? 5 of Swords. I think what this is telling me is that winner takes all. Trump will get the nomination. But then, this court case happens after he secured the nomination, and now you're stuck. Now you're stuck with the guy who's guilty of the insurrection, who's been found criminally guilty. He's a felon and, basically refused to do a peaceful transfer of power in this country. And now the Republican Party is stuck with him. Now, here's the next question on this one. This is a criminal case, which means that there's prison time that goes with it. Is this the case that causes Donald Trump to flee the country? Or do we have to wait for the Mar-a-Lago case? Or is that going to be the Georgia RICO case? If Donald Trump is still fleeing the country. If Donald Trump is found guilty in the January 6th insurrection case, what is he going to do? Is he going to stay and run for president and then try and say you can't arrest me because I'm president? Is he going to flee the country? What's going to happen to Donald Trump if he loses the January 6th insurrection case? Wrap it up with this one. The mystery, we don't know yet. Kind of like the overarching lesson here. We don't know. It's not decided yet, I'm guessing. But he knows one thing. He knows he's doomed. Maybe he doesn't know what his plan is or where he's going to go yet. But he knows that it's all over. When this thing is done, it's all over. And maybe his election, his polling numbers and his election numbers start decreasing because people are now stuck with this. And there's Jack Smith under the bottom. 10 swords, and this guy's got another one ready for you. Yeah, this case will bring Donald Trump down. This will end the viability of his presidential run. That doesn't mean he won't stop running, but I think this is going to end the viability of it. Because if nothing else, it's going to help the independent voter and like the 5 people on this planet who haven't decided their opinion on Donald Trump yet. In the past, what will Donald Trump... We've got the 3 of Pentacles. There's probably negotiations going on. Court case. So if he's found guilty, there's going to be negotiations on what type of sentence to give. Discussions between Trump's lawyers and Jack Smith on how, what the penalty phase might look like, what things might get recommended. There's going to be work being done behind the scenes after this trial is done. This could also be negotiations by Trump as to what he's going to do next with dark money. Okay, so I'm starting to think I'm going to make this very Trump-centric here. This could be Trump already discussing plans, contingency plans, if this doesn't work out. And this would be him leaving. Because this is going to be, here's prison waiting for you. And he doesn't want to go to prison. So, you have a choice. You go to prison or you can self-exile, as it were. 3 of Wands is the card waiting for your ship to come in. 4 of Wands is opening day. Yep. Okay. This is him. This is him now looking at prison time, and it's the end of the line for him. And now he's looking at going somewhere else in the world where he will not face prison. He might flee before... this might be one of those things where he's found guilty and then he has to come back for sentencing and he flees to avoid the sentencing. But, the truth is revealed at this point. And other intuitives I've heard, and I do believe it was Sterling, saying that the minute that Trump understands he's going to prison, that's when he's going to try and flee. Somewhere in the world, this could also show you, where there's a lot of sun and Arabian horses or something along those lines. Oh, yeah, and if he flees, if he leaves the country, that leaves his voters out in the cold. Because now what do? The Republican Party's in the cold because their presidential candidate is either in prison or he's fled. Maybe it's in summertime. He flees. And now what do? Sure, 25% of the people, it appears, in this country are willing to vote for Trump no matter what. Even if he's, hiding in Saudi Arabia and refusing to come back. Yeah, I think we're getting close here, folks. I really do think we're getting close to Trump taking a trip out of the country. But, we'll see that as the January 6th case gets closer and how that case rolls out. It does look like the Supreme Court will likely rule that, presidents are kings, go figure. But I think there will be a delay in that will delay this trial to the May-June timeframe. So basically summer. And, the sun card does have sunflowers on it, which is an indication of summer. So that trial may not resolve itself until the latter part of summer. the elections are getting near, and then Trump is, if found guilty, is facing incarceration. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching this reading and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your kind words and your likes and your shares and everything you do to feed the algorithm so that my video makes it up to a wider scope of viewers, to new viewers and new subscribers to the channel. Hey, I appreciate it. Glad you found us. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.